Hey there, this is Beth Williams, personal trainer and yoga teacher, and I'm here today to teach you another Warrior Fit strength training class for yogis. So today what you'll need, after I tell you what you need, you might want to pause and go grab your props, a couple of yoga blocks if you have them. I have 3 resistance bands. One of them will be the extra light band, and then you may choose one that is medium to heavy. So the extra light is going to be for rotator cuff warm-up, and the medium or heavy will be for some monster walks, so some outer hip abduction work to strengthen your outer gluteal muscles. I also have over here some weights, so a couple of 3-pound weights. If you have 2s or 1s, that will work just fine. This will be for some shoulder work, front raises, lateral raises, and reverse flies. I have a couple of 5-pounder weights, and so those will work for overhead presses. You might also choose to use your 3s for that. I have 2 10-pound weights. If you have 8 pounds, that's fine as well. We'll be using those for PEC Flies, and then or your squats and deadlifts. And then I have a couple of 15-pound weights as well. And so some of you might want to use those for your rows, your chest presses, your deadlifts, or your squats. So it really depends on where you are in your practice. So we'll be working with repetitions of about 15. If you can do more than that with ease, I would recommend going up in weight the next time you do this video. If you found that you couldn't do the 15 repetitions, maybe it was around 8 or 12, I would recommend going down in weight. So we're working on building endurance and stamina and the muscle fibers, not looking to bulk up or hypertrophy. So that's how to pick out your weights. So today, let's go ahead and get started with our standing rotator cuff work. Okay, so I have my light band. I'm going to place that around the outer hands with the thumbs on top, elbows underneath the shoulders, feet about hip distance apart. And so from here, try to keep your elbows tucked in towards your rib cage. Take a breath in here, and on your exhale, rotate your arms externally, initiating that external rotation from your upper arm bones near the shoulder blades, and then on the inhale, slowly bring your hands and arms back to that starting position. Exhale as you rotate out, and inhale coming back in. Exhale out. Inhale in. Exhale. Inhale, slowly come back in. Don't let that band pull your hands back quickly like it wants to do. So you're resisting the band, the effort of the band as you come back. So we're at 7 repetitions here. And bring the exhale out. Inhale in. Some of you might feel a stretch across the front of the shoulders, but the focus here is at the backs of your shoulders, your external rotators, your infraspinatus, your teres minor. Good. So 3 more. You might find as you get tired, one arm wants to do more work than the other. That's totally normal, so try to keep as much equality as you can there from right to left. Okay, so we'll set that band down. We won't be using that for the remainder of class. And go ahead and grab your lightest weights. So 3-pound weights here for me. Again, standing with your feet hip distance apart, eyes forward. We'll start with some front raises. And so from here, as you exhale, lift your arms to shoulder height. Feel a squeeze in the front shoulder. As you inhale, slowly lower the weight back down in line with your hips. Exhale to lift. Inhale to lower. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. Keep working at that ratio, that rhythm. So just trying not to lift your shoulders or your hands higher than the tops of your shoulders. And also you might find that as the time goes on with this here in this set, that as it becomes more difficult, you may find that you're kind of swinging the weights forward or pushing your rib cage forward and arching your back. See if you can maintain solidity in your rib cage and core, using your back muscles, using your abdominals. So last one here. Good. Okay. Next we'll do some lateral raises. So just a pointer before you get started with those. As you reach your arms out to shoulder height, not higher, but to shoulder height. As you're looking forward, can you see your hands out of the corners of your eyes? If not, you might consider that your arms are too far back. They're out of that scapular plane. So the hands are going to be a little bit in front of the shoulders. So from here, let's take a breath in. And as you exhale, lift your arms to that shoulder height. Good, so you're looking through the outer periphery of your eyes as you lift to see that you're keeping those arms working at the same rate. And they're not going above the tops of the shoulders. Good. So we're at 7 reps here. Remembering to exhale as you lift, using the medial deltoid, the middle shoulder. And you'll notice if you lift too high, then your trapezius muscles, right around the tops of the shoulders and the neck, want to do the work. So we're trying to isolate the middle shoulders here. So last 3. And last one here. Okay, so finishing up with our shoulder warm up, we'll do some reverse flies. I'm going to turn from the side. Widen your feet about outer shoulder distance apart. Hinge from your hips. There will be some bend to the knee. And try to find a neutral spine so that the back of your head is in line with the back of your heart center and the center of your sacrum. Start with your arms about shoulder distance apart and root your arm bones back into the socket so the weight's not pulling your arms out of socket. Look just right out about 2 feet in front of your toes on the floor. And as you exhale, take your arms out into a T and inhale back to that starting position. Exhale, reach the arms out. Inhale back to start. Remembering to breathe in through your nose and out of your mouth. And I try to think of leading with my elbows to do the lifting, so that tips of the elbows are reaching towards the sky so that there's not a locked elbow. So the rear deltoids working and the muscles in between the shoulder blades working. Your rhomboids, your trapezius. And try not to jerk the weight up. I feel that if you jerk the weight up, that the neck gets involved. Let's do one more. Good, and then go ahead and come up to standing. Once you finish that repetition, we'll set the 3-pounders down. Okay, so next up is some T-spine mobility. I like to call these Charlie's Angels. A lot of you that work with me know this one really well. So we're going to interlace our last 3 fingers. Take the pointer fingers together and cross the thumbs. Take your thumbs to the heart space. Walk up more towards the top of your mat and step your right foot back. Land on the ball mound of the right foot, the right heel lifted, the right heel points up, the left knee bent so that the knee is over the heel. Eyes are going to be forward. Try to keep your hip points pointing forward towards the short end of the mat there. And take a breath in. On your exhale, I'd like for you to twist to the left from your upper rib cage. So from the waist up, all the way up to the head. And as you inhale, come back to center. Try not to let the legs or the hips move as you exhale, twisting to the left. As you inhale, back to center. So really working with stability in the legs and the abdominals. And mobility in the thoracic spine. Keep going. If you feel like you're losing your balance, really root through your feet. Take the arms out in front of you, right in front of the chest. The pointer fingers pointing forward. And continue 5 more. Exhale as you rotate. Inhale as you come back to center. And keeping a straight line from your sternum out through your thumbs and your pointer finger. Last 2. And 1. Okay, coming back to center. Thumbs to the heart space, stepping that right foot forward and the left foot back. Landing on the ball mound of the left foot, the right knee is bent. Thumbs begin at the heart center. Eyes forward, hips forward. Take a breath in. As you exhale without moving those hips or legs, rotate your rib cage to the right. Let your head naturally follow to the right. Inhale to center. Exhale, twist. You might feel a little wibble wobbly here. Just really ground down through your foundation. So after this 5th one, when you come back to center, straighten your arms. Inhaling here. Exhale, rotate to the right. Inhale, recoil back to center. One more for good measure. Excellent. We'll blow that out. Step your back foot forward. Release the clasp of your fingers. Okay, I've got one more warm-up that I want to do here. This is a squat progression warm-up. So I'd like for you to have a couple of blocks either up on their taller setting or on their middle setting. Really depends on your flexibility as to how high you're going to need them. I forgot to tell you to grab a blanket. Hopefully you saw that I was using it today. And I'm going to roll this blanket up. You can fold it up if you'd like, but I'm going to roll it. Just gives a little bit more height for those of us that have tighter calves. Sometimes tighter calves can make your squats a little more difficult. So if we lift the squats during this warm-up, it can provide more mobility through the knees and the hips. So once you get that rolled up, I'd like for you to stand so that your heels are as wide as the blanket will go if you're using a traditional Mexican blanket, or heels about as wide as your outer hips. So my ball mounds and my toes are on the floor. The heels are on the blanket, just for clarity. So I'll show you the first one, and then we'll go through it together. So on an inhale, you'll stretch your arms up. Get some length through your torso. See if you can keep that length. As you exhale, forward fold. I'm going to bring those blocks in a little bit closer so I have something to hold on to here. And then inhale, Sit down into your squat. You might adjust your feet so that your knees point in the direction of your toes. And then you'll lift your right arm up, your left arm up. And as you exhale, press through the heels to rise back up. Good, take another breath in here. Exhale, hinge from the hips. Sit the hips back. Inhale, left arm up, right arm up. Exhale, drive through those heels to rise up. Take another breath here. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, sit the hips back. Take the right arm up, the left arm up, and as you exhale, come on up. Another breath in here. Exhale, forward fold. Sit the hips back. Inhale, left arm up, right arm up. Exhale, drive through the heels. Keep reaching up as you come up. Inhale. Exhale, forward fold, hands to blocks. Send the hips back and down. Good, right arm up, left arm up. Exhale, rise up. Last time, inhale. Exhale, fold. Send the hips down. Inhale, left arm up, right arm up, and exhale, rise. Good, feel free to do another one or two of those if you'd like. Otherwise, coming off of the blanket, heels rooted to the floor. So we're good and warmed up now. You can move those blocks off to the side. Just going to take a little sip of water before we move on. Little towel off. Okay. Also set the blanket aside. Excellent. So from here, we're going to be working with leg strength. So I'd like for you to grab the weights that you would typically use for a deadlift. So I'm going to grab 15s today. So this first round, we'll do deadlifts with the feet, both of them on the floor, hip distance apart. Suitcase deadlift, so that the weights are next to your hips, palms facing in. Starting off with your eyes forward in neutral spine. Now when you inhale, you'll hinge forward from your hips. Take those weights so that the palms are facing the tops of the shins, just right below the knees, and line up your spine to neutral. And as you exhale, drive through the heels to rise up to standing. The hands will end up next to your hips again. Again, inhale, hinge. Exhale, drive through the heels to rise up to standing. Inhale, hinge. Exhale, stand. At your own pace. So even though you're driving the weight through the heels, try to keep all 10 toes down. And the knees are above the heels the entire time. So there will be a bend to the knees. There will be a hinge from the hips, but it's not a squat. It's a hip hinge. Last 5. Also try not to let the weight pull your heads of your arm bones out of socket. So keeping some strength around the heads of the arm bones. Fighting gravity a little bit there. Last one. And when you set your weights down, see if you can set the weights down in good form, like you're doing a deadlift. Okay. So next up, we'll be doing a squat with an overhead press at the top of the squat. So it looks like this. I don't have any 8s with me today, and 10s I know are going to be too heavy for me.
So I'm gonna go with a lighter weight. I'm gonna go with my 5s here. So finding my squat stance, I talked about how to find this on the previous Warrior Fit video. So if you're not sure, you might take the previous one. It's the first Warrior Fit video I posted. So for me, I know that my squat stance is heels about in line with the outer hips. Got a rotation out slightly with my thighs and my feet. So I'm gonna start here with my elbows just a little bit below the tops of the shoulders. Wrist straight, so try not to curl the wrist back. And from here, we'll sit the hips back. Try to keep the chest relatively lifted so you're not collapsed forward like this. And then as you exhale, rise up, straighten the knees, the hips, and then press the arms up overhead. Inhale, start to lower back to that beginning position with the arms. Sit the hips back. Exhale, press up. Good. Inhale, squat. Exhale, press up. Keep going at your own pace. Now for me, my shoulders, I'll be honest, are not very strong, especially when it comes to pressing overhead. It's something I've worked on a long time. So if you get tired like I am, getting tired, you can bring the weights to the tops of your shoulders, so palms face in, to continue. 6 more reps of squats. Last 3. Last one. Excellent. Let's set those down. So now we're going to find our band for a monster walk. So if you need to go to a wall to put this on, you can. I'm going to put it around the feet and around the ankles. Oops. This is good for balancing. So right around the tops of the ankles, and you'll start all the way over on the right side of your mat. Your feet about hip distance apart, hands to the heart. Interlace your fingers. Now an easier progression here is to stay with straight legs, straight hips. If you want it to be more challenging, sit into a squat. Hey, I'm looking at the clock here. We'll go for a full minute. So walking that left foot out, let the right foot follow, keeping some resistance. Trying to keep the feet about the same rotation of your squat. And then go ahead and go in the other direction. So working the outer hips here. Okay, good. So we'll do that again later. And if you found that was too easy, you can do these in a squat position. Okay? Go ahead and take the band off. And just set it down. All right, so we're going to come onto our backs for PEC Fly, and then we'll do chest press after that. So if you're experienced in this, then you might know which weights you're going to be using. I'll give you that information now. PEC Fly, then chest press, so you can choose your weights accordingly. So I had a shoulder injury, a couple of them a few years ago, 10 plus years ago. Another one about 20 years ago. So I usually stick with 8-pounders. I don't have my 8-pounders here with me today, so I'm gonna go with 5s on my PEC Flies. And also want to make sure you have enough real estate because your arms are going to be going out and you don't want to hit anything next to you. So we'll start off with the weights to the thighs. Rock on back. Take your feet to the floor. Find your neutral curve in your low back and your neck. And start with your palms facing one another. The eyes of the elbows pointing in, the points of the elbows pointing out. All right, so as we inhale, taking the arms outwards, like you're getting ready to give a big hug to someone you love. As you exhale, closing those hands up so that they're about shoulder distance apart. Good, inhale, open up and out. Exhale to that starting position. So PEC Flies are working the chest, front shoulders. You can probably feel that the biceps are acting here as brakes as you're lowering down. And I'm trying to open my hands out equally from right to left. Just really focusing on where those dumbbells are going out of the periphery of my vision. I'm also micro-bending my elbows, but I'm not overly bending them. So it's not a chest press where you would bend your elbows 90 degrees as you lower down. Last two here. Okay, so if you're going to use those same weights for chest presses, then you can just stay on your back. Otherwise, rock up, change your weights out. So I'm going to go heavier because chest presses are easier for me. So I'm going to work with 10s today. So grabbing those weights to the thighs, rocking back, feet to the floor, arms straight up. This time palms are going to be facing forward, same direction of the toes. As you inhale, go ahead and bend your elbows 90 degrees. So the weights are kind of in line with the chest. And as you exhale, press those weights up and in. Inhale, lower down. Exhale, press up and in. It's almost like you're tracing a triangle down as you inhale, and then up as you exhale. See if you can keep your wrists above the elbows throughout the movement. A soft little break in the wrists, so you're not curling the wrists back. It's really good for strengthening those forearms too. Five more. Working the chest, working front shoulders, working triceps. And finishing up, last one. Good, rock and roll up. Set your weights down. Okay, so from here, we're going to go into a side plank. So you'll start off on your left side with your left elbow underneath the shoulder, and you can rotate that left forearm out a bit externally. And what I like to look at is that I'm kind of making a straight line to the corner of my mat here. I like to make a fist, press down pretty strongly through the elbow and forearm so I'm not collapsing through the armpit and the shoulder. That engages the serratus and the obliques here, outer hip. I'm going to start today with the knees bent and the outer edges of the feet on the floor. For beginners, you can keep your knee, outer shin, and foot to the floor. Go ahead and lift. You might take your hand, your right hand to your hip or up towards the sky. For those of you that are more experienced, you can straighten your legs, making a straight line with your heels, hips, shoulders, and head. Coming onto the outer edge of that bottom foot. Keep pushing the floor away from you. Try not to let your head drop. Let's try to keep it in line with your spine. So feeling the obliques working here strongly, serratus, shoulders. Keep breathing. I'm here with you. You know, that's a lot. 10 more seconds. Lift your hips. Push down through your elbow. And lower. Lower your hips. Take that left arm out and just let your left side of your rib cage lower towards the floor for just a moment. That feels good. Okay, let's switch around other side. Okay, so right elbow underneath the right shoulder. I'm gonna rotate that forearm out, make a fist. Start up with the knees bent if you're taking that easier variation. Otherwise, straighten the legs, making a straight line between your heels, hips, shoulders, and ear. And watching the clock here, let's go ahead and begin. So, lifting the hips. On the outer edge of your bottom foot there. You might take the top arm up. One of my bad habits is to look at my feet. And when I do that, I'm bringing my spine out of neutral. And try to look forward. Stay with your breath. Shaking is a good thing. Pain is not. Almost there, guys. Good, lower the hips down. Go ahead and take that right hand out. So you're making a straight line between the hand, the hips, the feet, and sink the rib cage towards the floor. Feels good. Okay, we're gonna come back up to the feet for a standing row. So standing low row, I'll be more specific. Grabbing a weight that you can work with your row. So 10s or 15s. If you would like to go with 8s, you can. So my feet are going to be about shoulder distance apart. I'm gonna hinge from the hips here. Take the hands so that they're shoulder distance apart, much like we did with reverse flies earlier. Root the shoulders back. Eyes about 2 feet in front of the toes on the floor. Exhale, bend the elbows. Squeeze the shoulder blades towards each other. Inhale, straighten the arms. So try not to be jerky in your movement. Try not to pinch the neck with Lifting of the shoulders. Also try not to round the spine here. So keep the spine neutral. It'll feel like you're sticking your butt out. You probably are. That's okay. Three more. Good. Come up to standing. So, let's come back around to our squats with the overhead press. Finding your squat stance, finding your overhead press starting position, elbows in front of the shoulders, just a little below the shoulders, wrists over the elbows. Ready? Inhale, sit your hips back. Exhale, press up. Inhale, squat. Exhale, overhead press. There's 5. There's 10. I'm going to keep squatting, but take the weights to my shoulders here. Last one. Awesome. Set those weights down. Take a little sip of water. Towel off. Feels good to sweat, doesn't it? Check my heart rate monitor. So I'm about 84 beats per minute. That's a good rate for me. I could probably go a little higher, but I can also feel I'm a little out of breath, so I'm going to take that as a good sign. So next, you can either do a suitcase deadlift with both feet on the floor, or you can do single leg deadlift. I'll let you choose. Now if you're doing suitcase deadlift, do 20 repetitions. If you're doing single leg deadlift, do 10 on one side and then 10 on the other. So I'll show you both just in case you forgot. So I'm going to go with 10s on this round. A suitcase deadlift, feet hip distance apart, palms next to the hips, eyes forward. Inhale, hinge from the hip, weights in front of the shin. Exhale, back up. Okay? Or single leg deadlift. I'm going to root into my left foot, take the right foot back, engage the right glutes. Inhale, hinge from the left hip, lift the right leg up, much like you would in Warrior 3. Exhale, come back up. You might take your right foot back down to the floor if you need to for stability. Okay, 9 more on that side. If you're doing single leg, exhale, back up. Inhale, hinge. There's 5. Here's 10 on this side. Switch to the other side. Those of you doing both feet to the floor, Keep counting. You'll probably be done before we are. Make sure to commit standing up all the way each time you come back to standing. This is 5. Should be at 10 here. That side was harder for me. I don't know about you. It's my right side, a little bit weaker. Okay, catch your breath. Beautiful. So, from here, let's do some triceps before we get back down to the floor. So 5s or 8s. Grab your weights. Hinge from your hips. Bring your elbows in towards your sides. Keep your elbows glued in towards your sides. Nice neutral spine here, guys. Take a breath in. As you exhale, straighten your arms. Inhale, bend the elbows 90 degrees. Exhale, straighten your arms. Keep your elbows in towards your sides. This is 5. Last one. Gonna come up to standing. All right, so let's do rows next. And we're going to do them in tabletop. So you can grab let's just do one weight on this one, so single arm row, 10 or 15 pounder. I'm going to put a blanket under my knees. All right, we'll come into tabletop. So, right hand under the right shoulder, hips over the knees, left hand a little forward of the left shoulder. Here we go. As you exhale, bring that right elbow up in line with the rib cage, trying to go above the rib cage. Inhale, either tap the weight down or you can rest in between. Exhale up. Inhale down. Five. 10. Last 3. Take a little break. You might sit in kneeling or go to child's pose. All right. Back to tabletop. Right hand on the floor, left hand holds the weight. Try not to drop your head, folks. Keep your head in line with your spine. It's part of your spine. It's an extension of it. Okay, root through your right hand. Draw your core in. Exhale, lift that left elbow in line with the top of the rib cage. Inhale, lower down. Exhale, lift. That's 5. 10. Last 3. And 1. Set the weight down. Either come into kneeling, child's pose. Let's go into downward facing dog. So hips above the knees, hands in front of the shoulders. Curl the toes under, lift the knees and the hips up and back. If you want to challenge, you can go forward into plank. Shoulders above the wrists. Ears in line with shoulders, hips, and heels for those of you in plank. Find the balance between pushing the floor away from you and bringing your shoulder blades towards each other. Go ahead, downward dog. Move your blanket. Walk your feet forward. Ground into your feet, rise up, reach the arms up, inhale. Exhale, take your hands down next to your hips. All right, we've got monster walks. So find the band that works for you, place around the ankles. Okay, start over on the right side of your mat. Interlace your fingers. We'll go for a full minute, sitting into your squat or standing straight. And you start to slowly walk those feet out to the side. Might be a low squat, might be a high squat. And other direction. I like to go slow and controlled. Oh, it's much faster for me to go this direction, I've noticed. So just to fill up the rest of the time, I'll go back a couple of times to one direction and then back the other direction. Okay, 1 minute there. Take your band off. So let's finish off with chest press, then we'll stretch. No PEC Fly. So you might use 10s or 15s for your chest press. I'm gonna go with 15s. All right, rock and roll down to your back. Arms up, feet to the floor. Inhale, lower down. Wrists above elbows. Exhale, press up and in. That's 5. That's 10. Three more. a little bit of help from my exhale to finish that last one. One thing I've learned about doing this with you guys, with taping, is that talking and working out at the same time is very difficult. So as you know, those of you that take my class, I usually demo and then walk around the room so I can see what you're doing. And when I work out on my own, I'm not talking. So both of those together, a little bit challenging. And maybe I'll get stronger doing that too. So time will tell. Come back down to your back. Bring your right ankle to your left thigh. And reach up, grab the back of your left thigh. Lower your head and shoulders if you had to lift them to do that. Flex your right ankle. So you pull the toes back towards the shin. And straighten your left leg for a hamstring stretch on the left leg. Pulling the left toes back towards the shin as well. Start to let your breath normalize here. Good, bend your left knee. Take your right knee on top of the left. Cross your left knee over towards the right a little bit. Reach up and grab your outer ankles or shins with your hands. My palms are up. And pull the ankles towards you, towards your shoulders. You might rock a little side to side. Good. Okay. Figure 4 on the other side. So you can lower your feet down for a moment. Take your left ankle to your right thigh. Flex that ankle, the toes pull back. Reach up, grab the back of the right thigh. Lower head and shoulders down. Straighten the right knee. Flex the foot as if you're stepping your foot onto the ceiling. Nothing like feeling those endorphins running through your body after a nice workout. And just really knowing that you're getting stronger each time you come to your mat with your weights. And it's such an empowering feeling to know. Sometimes we think that we're always gonna, be the same if we've lost our strength due to surgery or injuries or just, not moving for a while. So it's good to know that you can get it back. So let's bend the right knee. Take the left knee on top of the right thigh. Cross the right thigh to the left. Reach up and grab your outer ankles with the palms up and pull the ankles towards your armpits. All right, go ahead and release there. Rock and roll up to a seated position. And if you'd like to sit up on a blanket, you can. All right, I always finish off with a quote, and I wrote it down today because last time I forgot who the author was, so I want to make sure that I get this right. So if you'd like to join your hands together, you can listen to this quote. Don't let what you cannot do interfere with what you can do. That's from John R. Wooden. It's one of my husband's heroes. He's a huge basketball fan, always has been. John R. Wooden is was a head coach of UCLA basketball, and he won 10 NCAA national championships. So to hear that coming from him and to know his story, I know from my husband, he's told me a lot about him. What he said goes a long way. Don't let what you cannot do interfere with what you can do. So that takes quite a bit of heart and grit to really be able to apply that wisdom. So I want to thank you for joining me today, and I hope that you'll come back and do another Warrior Fit class, or maybe even do a yoga class as well. Namaste.